of the income stream. Today I'm gonna tell you a quick story about something from my childhood. I'm gonna answer your questions. We're gonna do some website reviews for you as well. And most of all, just have fun, like we always do. Thanks for joining me. Welcome in. Let's do this.
This is the income stream to help you achieve your dream, all while we keep it clean. This is the income stream. It's the kind of show where you can come and go, but then you leave inspired with no fee required. The income stream with Pat Flynn.
Morning, y'all. Welcome in. Want to say hello to some of the amazing people, and especially Scott. First time here. Welcome in, Scott. Thank you so much. We got Samuel in the house. Who else we got here? TJ, Vicky, of course, Just Samson, as always. Joyce, good morning. Joyce, good to see you. I'm going to quit my application so I don't make any noise going your way. Warriors Roundtable, welcome. Albert, welcome in, my friend. I appreciate you. Scott Tanner, Jamin, Consult a Blind Guy, welcome in. By the way, there's a story I want to tell you because it was our light goal for yesterday. We didn't quite make it, but I'm doing it for Xenia and Vlada here, who've been in almost every single stream here, and they've been begging for this essentially story that we've tried to unlock, and we haven't done so yet. And what I'm talking about is every stream we do, we try to unlock a goal. And today's goal is a 200 like goal that allows me to share something special that was hand delivered to me yesterday, some special frames that I want to share with you really quick. And that does tie into a business story, actually. So make sure you hit that like button now while you can, and then we can get into it. So like goal of 200. By the way, if this is your first time here and you don't even know who I am, well, really quick, my name is Pat Flynn, here to help you make more money, save more time, and help more people too. Here on this channel, I help people start and execute and scale and grow their businesses. No matter what platform you're on, whether you're a blogger, YouTuber, podcaster, no matter what kinds of products you create, I try to take these complicated aspects of business and make them easy and fun and consumable for you so that you can get some results. As you can see here, we have an amazing community here, the Quaranteam, as they're often known, and we also love the hashtag bruh, which shows up sometimes. Martin, thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate you, my friend. And by the way, super chats are sort of like paid comments that come in. They get highlighted. I will give you a shout out. However, they're not required. I'm going to talk to and answer questions and do website reviews for people who don't do the super chats, but I will happily accept that money and push it toward those who need it at the San Diego Food Bank, because San Diego is where I'm from, trying to help out my community. I want to thank you for that support, and I appreciate you. Quick story. Martin, there it is. So quick story here. Let's get into story time. So this is my broken arm story. I've only broken one bone. I promise you, we're gonna get into business stuff, but I owe Xenia and Vlada this. I hope they're here. Okay, they are here. Okay, I'm just making sure. So, 6 years old, there was a girl who I had a crush on. Her name is Rachel. In fact, her name was Rachel Geller, which is an interesting sort of Friends reference, if you know. Cute little freckled, pigtailed girl, and I had this huge crush on her. And we were at the playground during recess one day, and I wanted to impress her. That's what I try to do. I try to impress people. I'm a 3 on the Enneagram, so I get value from, having other people go, hey, that was cool, or hey, that was really helpful, hence me being here every day. So anyway, she's there, she's on the swings, and they're the monkey bars, the pull-up bars. And I'm like, I think, and mind you, I'm 6 years old. I don't know physics or gravity yet at this point. So I'm like, okay, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna sprint to the monkey bars, and I'm going to grab on and flip over and do a full 360 around, come down, boom. So of course I get her attention. I'm like, hey Rachel, watch this. Sprinting, going as fast as I can. I grab onto the monkey bars, and of course, I'm not gonna have enough momentum to swing all the way around. And I slip and I fall, and my elbow and my forearm hit a concrete pillar that's there to hold the monkey bars up, that's on the ground. And I hear something shatter, and I completely know that something's wrong, and I start, the recess attendees come over, and they take me to the nursing room, and then I go to the hospital, and then my parents show up. It's just this big ordeal, and all I could not stop thinking about was, I hope Rachel didn't actually see that. And yes, she did. And at the doctor's, I remember, and this is the funny part of the story, her dad was my doctor. Rachel's dad was my doctor. And so, of course, hey, Rachel, like one of your friends came in today. His name's Pat. Like and anyway, just a very embarrassing story. And that's when I broke my arm. So Xenia and Vlada, that one is for you. Yes, 6 years old, crush. I was a hopeless romantic. I was literally writing poems. I was literally making bracelets for girls back then. And it didn't work out very well because I didn't get my first girlfriend until junior year of college. Part of that was because I was also not 5 feet tall my senior year of high school. So a lot of baggage I've come with. But anyway, I landed a dream girl, April. She's amazing. And that's your story for today. So anyway, thank you. And let's unlock a better, more business appropriate story that I want to share with you if we get to 200 likes. And we're almost halfway there already. So anyway, yes. Okay, let's get into it. So who is ready to ask questions? There might be some questions that are already in. I'm going to scroll down and look around. And feel free to ask as many questions as you like about anything. Yesterday, we had an amazing workshop about traffic building and audience building. If you were there yesterday, thank you so much for being a part of that. My team is working on repurposing that right now and putting it into Teachable for you so that you can get access to it. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, we ran a little experimental, sort of lower priced workshop, something we've never done before, and it was a massive success. Yes, I didn't get a lot of sleep the night before because I was rehearsing and practicing, and I get really nervous before those things, but everybody who showed up said that there was tons of value, and hopefully it's going to help people get some bigger, better, faster results in their business to get more traffic. We talked about a lot of things, and so that was really fun. Nice story. Thanks for sharing. You're welcome. Thanks for that. And you gave it for free. You were the sweetest person on the planet. Not true. There's a country song about this called Chicks Dig It. Did you tell your parents it involved the girls? Yes, they knew that. They were like, Pat, did this have to do with the girl? That was like their go-to first question, right? That's how much my parents knew me. Okay, I thought I was the only one doing that at 6 years old, says John. I was in college before having a real girlfriend. Pat, that was an awesome story. Respect on being brave enough to do that. Hey, it happened when I was a kid. This is real life. This is the real me. And I think that's important. By the way, while I'm waiting for questions, a couple resources I want to share with you. Number one, if you go to this website here at smartpassiveincome.com/toolkit, that'll take you to this page, which is a page that is ever growing about resources that can help you during this time. And this is a page that has some things like emergency podcast episodes, what to do if you get laid off, how to work from home and stay productive, and the part, which are the free stuff, like courses that are often things we charge for, given away for free. We've given over $2.5 million worth of Smart from Scratch there, and some other things, including books and whatnot, and you can check that out there. By the way, today, at the very tail end of this live stream, I'm going to be going live with a brand new video that was created, and I'm really excited to share it because it's called I live streamed for 30 days in a row. Here's what happened. Now, by today, it's day 44, but by the time I filmed that was 30 days in. It just took some time to edit because it's a little bit longer video, but I share a lot of the results of what has happened, both in terms of views, subscribers, income, as a result of going live. And there's been some really interesting sort of findings after committing to go live for over a month, and I'm not stopping anytime soon. Every morning so far, 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern, and we're going to keep going. We're going to keep going, y'all. I'm not going anywhere. So look out for that at the end. I'm going to be going live with that, live with you. And if you want to go in, hit a thumbs up, watch it, whatever you want to do, you'll be there behind the scenes as I go live with that, which will be fun. Cool. Our Healing Project asks, how many projects do you have going on at one time? Now, let me preface this by saying you should only be working and focusing on one thing at a time. And unless you have a team that's able to continue things for you simultaneously while you are focusing on something else, it would be very detrimental to focus on multiple things at the same time. There's a book called The One Thing by Gary Keller and Jay Papasan. It's really good. It tells you about the consequences of what can happen if you were to truly focus your energies on multiple things at the same time, and how you're not giving anything a chance to succeed by doing that. A lot of people see what I have going on. They have a blog, a podcast, a YouTube channel, books, speaking, all this stuff. Did that all happen at the same time? Absolutely not. Here's the timeline. 2008, blog came out. 2009, the YouTube channel started. 2010, podcasting. 2011, my first time speaking on stage. 2013 was my first book that came out. 2017 was my first online course, and so on and so forth. So these all happened after I became efficient with the previous. So if you're just starting out, focus on one thing, put the blinders on, or at least put those new ideas or those other things in a shoebox for when you unlock the capability to get more time back or become efficient or hire people to help support you with that first thing. You're going to get so much better results if you truly hardcore focus on that thing. So that was the sort of like caveat here, because I am working on a lot of things at the same time, but it's not me and my focus all those things at the same time. It is projects in motion with other people involved. For example, we have the Switch Pod, which is an invention that was launched on Kickstarter in February of 2019. And I have an amazing partner, Caleb, who is managing a lot of the day-to-day there. And I'm managing mostly the partnerships related to that particular company. And that by this time has already been in motion. Wheels are going. It's selling on Amazon, other online stores, B&H Photo, as well as our store, switchpod.co. And we have a third-party logistics program essentially connected to it, such that when an order comes in, no matter if it comes in from Amazon or elsewhere, our 3PL, which is called a third-party logistics program, is essentially the person who receives that order, ships it out for us. It's all stored at a factory or in warehouse, and so we're all ready to go there. It's mostly automated at this point. With the podcast, we definitely get very ahead on our content schedule. So we are recorded through July 2020, and on Ask Pat, we're recorded through June. So we're ahead of schedule because we batch process that. So Tuesdays are my interview days where I sit here at the computer right here. This is my podcasting area, and I might conduct 4 to 10 different episodes in one day, but I don't edit them. I send them off to my team to sort of create them and then have them come out based on the schedule that we created. I also am working on some stuff related to a membership program that's going out right now. We're working on these workshops right now too, and it's very much a result of hardcore planning. So my team and I, we work in sprints. This is very much, Eric Ries, lean startup, sort of sprint sequence where every 2 weeks we have some deliverables that each of the team members are required to have for specific projects that we are working on. And so by working in 2-week sprints, we can always sort of work on the small thing that we need to work on for a much larger whole. And we can come together every 2 weeks to sort of, check our progress, to hold each other accountable and all that sort of stuff. So that's how we roll. And so, yes, we're working on multiple things, and I would say probably 5 or 6 things going on simultaneously right now, but we're able to manage that because we have a team in place with managers each responsible for those certain things. And for me, being at the top, more the talent, if you will, I hate using that word. It's like, you're the talent. The entire team's talented. By gosh, everybody on the team is super talented. But I'm the one who's sort of like the person who shows up on camera, the person who's filming with Caleb on screen for our courses or for our workshops. So that's sort of how it's managed. Cool, great questions. Corey says, switching everything over from Amazon with amazing new affiliates, and lo and behold, got 3 good Amazon orders just a few days ago. Do you like a high-value window product into Amazon to stay engaged? A high window, so meaning like the one product that attracts people into Amazon that can then get them to add other things potentially into their cart. Yeah, I think that's important, and I think that Amazon is still going to be, especially after we come out of this, after they go back to shipping non-essentials via Prime, I think that it's going to be still, even though they've slashed affiliate commissions for a lot of things, the primary platform and marketplace where people are going to buy and what affiliates are going to use. It's just so much easier, and it's what people are used to. They have a monopoly on the market essentially. And yes, there are other affiliate programs like at Target and Walmart, but it might take a little bit more time to get approved. And just the conversion rates are going to be much higher on Amazon anyway. Amazon just has all the data. They have all the history of people and what they need. And it's just fine-tuned in such a way where nobody can compete right now. Sad, but it would be nice if there were other marketplaces that performed as well, especially ones that weren't so just vicious with cash hoarding and all that stuff. And I don't want to get into the sort of politics and the sort of governance of all that, but yeah, I think that's what's going to happen. Liz says, Pat, is it necessary to have both a blog and a podcast? If yes, how do you determine where to add a piece of content, the blog or podcast? So technically, you can have a podcast without having a blog or a website of any kind, as long as you have a host like Buzzsprout, my favorite one. Libsyn is also great, but it's just much easier to use. By the way, affiliate link, smartpassiveincome.com/Buzzsprout if you want to check that out. You get some extra time on your account if you want to go through that link. Anyway, you don't need a website. You just technically need a host that provides what's called an RSS feed, which is the thing that you submit to Apple Podcasts, to Spotify, Stitcher, etc. And when you come out with a new episode, i.e. you hit publish in that host, the feed, since it's already connected, automatically sort of shoots out your episode to everybody on those platforms and directories that they are subscribed to. So that's the beauty of podcasting. Once you get it set up, everything almost happens fully automatically. You just have to create your episodes, edit them, and upload them to your host. Everything gets distributed because everything's pre-connected. But having a website is very important because it's a place where you can control the experience that your audience has on the internet, right? Just listening is one thing, but you want to have a place where people can subscribe, a place where people can read your about page, to get to know you, to see the rest of your archive, to see the community that perhaps exists there. You don't have to have a blog. A blog and a website are different. A website is, can be considered a static place that might house your podcast and be more of a business card sort of situation. You still want it to provide value and to share with people who find you, especially for Google search. I mean, I think that's another reason why it's really important to have a website to support your podcast. But in terms of, hey, do you want to have a place on that website that also houses your podcast to just write and create content by writing, hence a blog? No, it's not required. It can be helpful, though. There might be some certain pieces of content that might better turn out to be helpful if they were via written content. For example, let's say you were a photographer, and photography is a very visually, obviously, related niche. However, there are some very successful photography podcasts, which is audio only. How does that work? Well, it works because you can tell great stories. You can share a lot of the business or ins and outs of photography or talk about news, versus what a lot of people teach in photography, which is like, hey, look at this. Here are the filters that you use, or here's my Lightroom sort of plugin that you can use. That is what's meant for a blog post. The things that are required for people to see, or the step-by-step, a place for people to come back to. But the beauty of having both a blog, written content, and a podcast, audio content in the same place is you can cross-promote both of those things with each other. And Google is going to continue to further support podcasters in the future. They're already doing this much better than some of the other platforms out there, in having their bots and their crawlers go through our websites and even start to go and listen to our podcasts, right? Just like how YouTube, when you publish a YouTube video, there's a transcript that shows up. That's not anything anybody uploads. It's something that YouTube's machines figure out. And they're going to do the same thing with podcasting, which will help for SEO. And I think having a website for that particular reason is going to be very, very important. And a blog to help with further supporting content and also long tail keywords that you can get found for, I think would be key. However, you don't have to start both at the same time. All right. I love being ahead of my podcast, chatting with guests for episode 19 on Saturday. That'll stream on 18 June. It's kind of crazy. There is some things you have to worry about related to choreography with that, right, Ellen? Like, for example, if it's news-based, if you record something in the news right now, but then don't publish it until 3 months later, it might not even be relevant anymore, right? The other thing about this that often is troublesome for me is sometimes I will record a podcast episode months ahead of time, and then it's going to come out later, and then I almost sort of forget that episode was recorded. And so when it comes out, I'm less able to remember or get behind it or market it as much as if it was just recorded the previous day, because I have to get re-excited or reinvigorated about that conversation. I will say also that in terms of workflow, a big problem when people get ahead is they often will record the intros separate from their podcast episodes, which is a good practice to do because you want to focus on the interviews. You want to record the intros later because you don't want to take the time of the person who's there, so you record those later. However, if you don't record them soon after you finish recording that interview, you're going to forget. And I've gone through this process before where I'll have on my task list for the day to record intros for episodes that were recorded with somebody, a guest, months ago. And then I have to remember what that conversation was about in order for me to get a proper hook, and in order for me to best support the podcast and get a person to consider putting their phone down and listening the entire time. I got to remember what that episode was about. So sometimes I'll actually spend more time re-listening to the episode to remember what it's about. So here's the secret. You want to make sure that after you record your interviews, as soon as possible, record the intro right after. Yes, you might have to record some other pieces for it later, like ad spots or things like that for sponsors. That's fine. But the main intro, the hook, is best recorded right after you record that episode. And I think that's yes, a little bit more time, but you're going to save time by not having to dig back into your archive, re-listen to things, and record that thing later. Awesome. Let's see. Vicky says, I've done both record intro during interview and separately. I like separately better so I can make sure I have all the key points included in case someone doesn't listen to the whole thing. I think that's important. I think recording it separately also, you don't know necessarily often where the interview is going to end up. It might go a place that you didn't expect, in which case you'd have to like re-record the intro and you can't create a proper hook. Sometimes in interviews, it becomes this beautiful thing that you didn't even know was going to happen. And then that becomes the hook in the beginning, which you then record later. If that makes sense. Pat, how can I set an appointment to interview you for my podcast? You're going to have to, number one, be patient because I have 500 to 600 people who have asked me within the last month, just so you know. I think my story, 2008, getting laid off and building a business coming out of the recession there, very relevant right now, obviously. But you can send an email to pat@patflynn.com. We'll put you on the list, and it just, sometimes we pick at random, but we definitely go priority order at first. So I apologize. It might take a while, but I am trying to get to everybody as much as possible, but it's going to be a long, perhaps, wait. Margarita, Texas says, are you seeing that it's easier for podcasters to get quality guests now because of the current global situation? We've seen guests more accessible recently. Yes, 100%, right? Because people now have more time flexibility at home. They are able to pack it in. There's less travel time, commute time. So we're opening up hours during the day. And people likely with remote work are finding that they're able to get their stuff done much sooner and have extra time to do other things too. So yeah, we're seeing the same thing. And I think people also, especially in business, or if you're interviewing people who have a business, I mean, they are sort of on edge right now. So they want to do as much as they can to get as much exposure to sort of try and create even more of a safety net if possible during this time. So yes, now is a great time to find guests for sure. And people have more time than ever at this point, for sure. Katan says, how do I ask Pat a question? You just did. Bruh. Just kidding. Well, you just did, but you can ask a question and I'll try to see if I can find it. I want to make sure I get to you since it seems like you're new here. I haven't seen you here before. So thank you for being here. And thank you to the welcome committee, the Quaranteam, who is here helping making everybody feel welcome. I appreciate you for that. Consult the Blind Guy says, do you recommend someone has a website if they have multiple media outlets? I currently have 3 different niche YouTube channels and a few different niche pages on Facebook as well as Teespring. So a lot of different places. Do you recommend having a website as potentially like a hub for all these things? Maybe. It depends on, well, what do you think the use would be for that website? It might be useful, maybe more for you just as a way to organize versus other people, right? Maybe this is just a sign that, well, because you have so many things going on, you just want everything neatly laid out in a place that becomes sort of a directory, if you will, of all the things. But if they aren't necessarily related to each other, then maybe not. The only reason why I think you could potentially do this, or it might make sense for you, is if you are also a personal brand. If you have a personal brand and you have multiple platforms, multiple things going on, but it's still important for people to want to get to know you and all the other projects that you have going on, well, this could be a proper place for that to happen. That's essentially what patflynn.com once was a place to sort of house all my projects before it became more of just a standalone website where there are just articles and videos that I create specifically for my personal brand about topics that aren't necessarily made and should be on smartpassiveincome.com because those are more business. I talk about things like education, parenting, and technology, Tesla, and fun other things that don't end up on smartpassiveincome.com at patflynn.com. So maybe this becomes a stepping stool for you and your personal brand so that you can have sort of the space or container to converse and talk about other things that perhaps don't or aren't relevant to the things that you have going on. Can you do video and use the same audio for a podcast, says Scott? You can, however, I would worry because let's say I take the audio for this, but I do a website review or we talk about something visual that if a person listening doesn't get the full effect, it will make them feel left out. It'll make them feel like, oh, well, this is just repurposed content versus, well, I can come here and get everything I need in one spot. I would much rather we either A, focus on creating a video that is audio still great and doesn't talk about things as visual, which would then potentially sabotage the video itself, right? Because video is meant to be seen. And if you create a video that can be listened to and you'd still get the same value, that might mean that the video is not as great as it could be. There's not enough visuals. There's not enough, things about what people can see and you know, hey, look at this chart. Like imagine hearing that on a podcast. It might not come across so well. So you can take clips from it and add your own audio on top of it to make it seem a little bit more personable, make it seem more real time in the podcast, but still insert and use parts of your video stream or live streams, if you will. And the other, you know, going the other way is really interesting too, right? Shooting with video, but for the purpose of taking that video and repurposing it on YouTube, an audio podcast. That can work as well. However, if it's built for audio only, then it's likely not going to be quite as interesting in video. And on YouTube, you got to be careful because if you publish a very long video and it's not worth watching, it can send signals to YouTube if people leave early that, wow, this channel isn't really attracting a lot of people and keeping them here. Let's not worry about, you know, ranking their other videos really high because it just seems like a lot of people aren't coming in here and getting value. Unless you're interviewing people that are celebrities or, you know, have a lot of visuals in the video, it can hurt you if you have a very long video that isn't worth watching. T Cat says, old.com website from your past business. I have one, but I don't know what to do with it. Thank you, Rafal, for the super chat. I appreciate that. Do I keep the old .coms? I mean, I have, and we've done this before. You can all kind of do this with me again. How many domains do you own that you aren't using right now? I have about 25 that I'm not using that I own. A couple of them are like my kids' names and things like that, but a lot of them were old business ideas.coms that I just am hanging on to just in case. And I often go through a purge, especially when it comes time to sort of rebill for those. I go, okay, am I really going to use this? And we just went through a phase where I got rid of about 10 to 15 of them in the last month because they were about to get auto billed to keep them. And I was like, I'm never going to use this. Let's get that out of my brain space. And hopefully we can sort of make some room for other things that are on my mind. Karen says, your Rode podcast station, how much has it simplified your podcast workflow? Quite a bit, actually, quite a bit. Mostly because it's just one box that has all the things in it that allows me to, hold on. I'm not frozen, am I? I always get worried. Last 2 days we've had things frozen, and for whatever reason, I'm not seeing my chat here on YouTube update, but I'm seeing the Ecamm comments update instead. Cool. I don't know what's going on, but we'll see. All right. Hey, did Catan ask a question? I'm looking for it. I don't see it yet, but if it does, let me know because I want to make sure I get him answered. Let's see. Karen. Oh, yeah, the Rode podcast. Yeah, it's definitely simplified. It's also allowed me to do some fun things here related to the live stream, like fun little things like that, and just easy access to buttons, and also the ability to take it with me if I wanted to a place where I can record multiple people. It has 4 XLR connections inside of it that allows me to record 4 different microphones, and I really enjoy that. And I've also used it for my videos because I can hit record on it, and it records the video, the audio into an SD card that's built in. That I take out and then, you know, upload and then sync with my video. So it's super high quality audio on top of the audio that my camera would normally get. And even though there's a nice shotgun mic on my camera, this I mean, it's unmatched for sure. I absolutely love it. Let's see. Jamin says, or just Samson says, how does Pat Flynn recover from a failed endeavor? Asking for a friend. Always realizing that failure is a moment in time where I can learn. Failure is a part of the process of entrepreneurship. Trying to see what I can do to fix the problem versus complaining, sort of getting upset about it. I do get frustrated when things don't go the way that I want them to. However, I always learn from those situations and see what I can do to fix them. I'm a problem solver. And if it involves failure where there's other people involved, I always try my best to be the first one to admit a mistake, to admit failure, because I would much rather admit it myself first if I've made a mistake in front of other people or that affects other people, that before other people call me out on that and sort of make up their own story or it gets blown out of proportion. I want to be the first one to admit mistake. And I think that just shows leadership, that shows empathy, and I think that that's very important. So I think it's important to consider your failures as just stepping stones to the next part of wherever you're headed versus like, well, I must be bad, I must not do this anymore. I think it's a pivot situation more than anything. All right, great question. Thank you for that. Chris says, I've seen podcast videos that are just a video of them recording the podcast, completely ignoring the camera. Yeah, we don't want that. Luis says, could you comment about how to structure the compensation for someone just starting to look for team members to help with the project? Example, video editor. So there's a bunch of different ways that you could structure this, right? There's actually multiple ways. Number one, you could do the traditional fee for project. So this is a very Upwork.com type situation. Hey, I have this project that I want done. How much does it cost? And on Upwork, you actually get people bidding. It's kind of like an auction, like, hey, I'll do that for 500. I'll do that for 1,000. And you can kind of look at their portfolios and choose people and communicate with them and then select somebody to do the work for you. That's, again, Upwork.com. I've used Upwork many times in the past, actually back when it was called Elance. Elance.com. I've used it for legal things. I've used it for graphic design. I've used it for writers. I've used it for logo. I've used it for complete website designs. I absolutely love the idea of just knowing how much you can pay for a project and having a deliverable come through on the other end of that. And typically payment terms are like 50% upfront, 50% on deliverability. You can restructure that per person however you'd like. And typically on places like Upwork or with people who do this for a living, consultants or there's other contractors that you find that would be a contractual based sort of agreement. Typically they'll have their normal sort of, pricing structure and ways that, you pay them out at certain times. The cool thing about Upwork.com is there's escrow, meaning you pay essentially Upwork or their escrow company, and you don't release the funds until you get the deliverable at the end. And that's sort of a safety net that's involved. Other ways that you can go about it is if you know that this is going to be a recurring thing, perhaps it starts on a contractual basis, but then it could turn into something where you hire this person as an employee, or you pay them sort of a monthly fee to just have a certain number of deliverables done for you sort of outside of Upwork. I've seen other structures where, if you don't have funds, it's more of a share of the company or a share of the profits. I've seen that work before. I've seen partners partner up on an LLC, which, you got to worry about because that's a huge decision to make. It's essentially a marriage. And so finding somebody right off the bat and getting into a partnership like that with them that's more formal is very dangerous. And you want to have like a prenup essentially involved in a contract before you sign anything. And there's also companies that do these specific things for you. Agencies, there's video editing agencies, there's podcast editing services out there, and they exist too. So there's a lot of options out there in terms of pricing structure. And you could potentially, especially during this time, find somebody to do it sort of at a relatively, lower price in exchange for just having work in general. But obviously you want to make sure people get paid what they deserve as well. Question from Contempo Coding. I've started getting DMs with complicated questions from fans that would take a lot of research to answer. What's the best way to handle this without seeming like I'm just turning them away? So you could do this in a very interesting way where you can go, hey, thank you for the question. I really like what this is turning into in terms of an answer. If you don't mind waiting, I'm actually going to turn it into a public answer. May I use your question in a video, right? And so that could be a really interesting way to sort of get double sort of what was expected. So the person has the DM sent to you, right? And then it's a question that might take a little bit more time. So that you can get the maximum out of that, you actually turn it into an answer that you share publicly. And if you can use a screenshot or mention that person's name, it makes them feel special if they're okay with that. It may be a personal question, so you can just have it be anonymous. Say like, hey, somebody messaged me the other day with this question. I think it's a really important question, so I wanted to answer it for all of you who might be going through the same thing. And this becomes a way for you to take advantage of perhaps a lot of other people who are asking the same question, to create a piece of content based on something your audience has asked so that you're not guessing. And number three, you'll be able to take advantage of Google and YouTube and other algorithms that are in place to take advantage of other people searching for the same thing as well. That's how I'd go about it. Kaya says, how do you make your audio more entertaining without video? Thanks for the thumbs down, by the way. Let's turn that thumb up some, but it's okay. I hope to have great content, but not sure how to make it more entertaining without putting commuters to sleep. So how might you make your audio content more entertaining? Number one, I think the most important thing is to have a great hook in the beginning that keeps people on edge to just keep going through so that they can get that answer that they were looking for, right? A hook in the beginning of anything, a video, a blog post, but especially an audio program is really important because that's what's going to keep people going through stuff, even though it might not be the most entertaining in the world. Also, that word entertaining doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be lively. You have to sort of be one of those outgoing sort of Robin Williams type characters that isn't you. And I think that's really important too. So understand that you have to be fully yourself, but there is a sort of shelled up version of yourself likely, and there's a outward version of yourself. Even if you're an introvert, there are still versions of you that could potentially show up on an audio stream that allow you to be a little bit more, received well. So here are some other things that you can do in your audio program. Number one, mix it up a little bit. Just telling a story is great. Telling stories are great ways to sort of break up the monotony of information overload. And you can tell stories and teach at the same time, which I think is great. So focusing on the way that you tell stories, how you keep people on edge. Like, I don't know, you can even have some background music, right? Like when I told that story earlier, because it can add a lot of flavor and most of all, interrupt the patterns. That's what is great about the idea of sort of just keeping people on edge, is just the pattern interrupts so that you aren't putting people to sleep, right? There's always something new to look forward to. There might be different segments within the middle of your show. So, hey, before we move on to the rest of the podcast, I want to tell you about my favorite tool that I found the other day. So welcome to Tools of the Week or something like that, right? And breaking that monotone sort of program up with some separate segments within your episode can go a very long way too. And I also think that we have to understand that our voice is a tool. Our voice is a tool that can be used in different kinds of ways where you're not just talking, right? But if you really want to focus on a particular part of a story where you want people to just listen in, you can slow down a little bit. You can soften your voice and maybe even whisper, but don't whisper too much because it can sound a little creepy, right? So anyway, you can use your voice and the whole dynamic range of it to keep your audio entertaining as well. And then when you get excited, right? You can step up your volume a little bit and it becomes interesting, just like this right now. But I'm sort of displaying this in terms of an example. You want it to be natural, obviously, and showcase the emotion in the voice to break up that pattern. Warriors Roundtable. I intentionally kept my name and current role title out of my podcast for both legal, military requirements, and personal reasons. I wanted the interviewees to be focused. Bad idea for the future? No, not a terrible idea. I know a lot of people who have. Samuel, thank you so much for the super chat. I'm going to feed a lot more people because of all of your generosities. Thank you so much. Tomorrow is the last day for the super chats for April, and we're gonna compile all that income and send it to the San Diego Food Bank. I can't wait to see exactly how many meals we're going to send to them. So thank you again for that. So for specifically this question, let me pop it up one more time. It's okay that you don't use your real name. I think it's important, though, that you have some sort of personality and a way for people to connect to you. So you might have like a pen name, if you will. And I this happens all the time. There was a woman who I used to follow back in the blogger days in the early 2000s called Silicon Valley Girl. It's like not just Valley Girl, but Silicon Valley Girl. And she was using that sort of name, an avatar. She even had a cartoon as her character, and she would show up as the sort of author as this cartoon. But it was believable because she had personality in her content, and there was a good reason for that too. And her reason was because she was a female in a much male-dominated industry in Silicon Valley, and she was bringing truth from the female side of things to the world from her positions. And so I think that that's a legitimate reason. I know another person, his name is Ramsey, but he was actually known for years as the blog tyrant. Like that was his name, the blog tyrant. And his content was so well crafted that everybody just started calling him the blog tyrant, and still call him the blog tyrant today, even though he came out with, one day he came out, he had this like photo shoot. I remember he brought a couch into the forest, took a photo shoot and was like, hey, I'd love to introduce myself. My name is Ramsey. Here's why I was afraid to put myself out there, and I'm coming out now, and I wanted to just share fully myself with you. And so that can happen later for you if you want, but I've seen a lot of people succeed by not revealing their full name and by sort of hiding behind an avatar, so long as their personality still shows up, so long that there's a connection to the community. That's what's most important. BS says, has anyone else been blown away with all this incredibly high value from Pat? Grandma Goody's Bible story gives highlights, looks for her comment below the replays. Thanks for this great resources, Grandma Goody. Thank you, Francis, for that. I appreciate that. You're amazing. Yeah, I agree. Grandma Goody is one of the regulars here on the income stream. Thank you so much. What she does, she keeps notes during these live streams. She even has timestamps available. And after these get sort of processed and published as videos, she puts in the sort of summary below the video, which is really amazing. Thank you for that. By the way, we need some likes. So we're trying to get to 200 so I could share some special frames that were hand delivered to me yesterday. What are these frames? Glasses? A picture? What is it? I have to share them with you, but only when we get to 200 likes. So let's see if we can not do what we had yesterday and not reach our like goal. So hit that like button. 200 likes is what we're going for. Smash that like button. Thank you so much. Seems like we're just kicking with questions today. The weekend is when we normally do more of these website reviews. However, there's one website review that I want to do today for somebody who left a super chat yesterday, right at the tail end. Paximus, if you're watching, I'm going to do in a couple minutes your updated website review. So Paximus had a website review over the weekend and has already made changes. So we want to bring that back and see sort of the next steps for him there. So we'll get into that in just a moment. Let's see. Question. Do podcasts get more traffic impressions because they're newer in contrary to YouTube, social media, and blogs? No, that's not the case. There's no correlation between being new or old and how much traffic they get sort of right off the bat. However, YouTube does have the popularity and the algorithms working in its favor, right? So you can create a YouTube video and it could be seen by millions of people potentially if it gets picked up and YouTube seems to want to support it that day, right? Or that week or whatever. Podcasts have less of that opportunity. But where podcasts really shine is in its ability to really build super fans and have this really core group of people who listen to you. And it's also a very binge listenable kind of thing as people are going on their day, commuting, traveling, walking the dog, at the gym, what have you. And that's something where video doesn't necessarily shine as well. So both are great, and I think both can complement each other, but I don't know if traffic and impression as a result of being newer makes sense or as a correlation. I think there's a lot of factors obviously involved in terms of like on your podcast, who you have on your show, who shares it, how it's being spread out there, and on YouTube in particular, you know, both have a chance to do very well and both have a chance to sort of not do so well. Let's see. I think we need a bruh. As I wait for this. Let's see. I'm just looking for more questions. Cutting out early to get stuff done. Thank you, Joanna, for being here. I appreciate you. Enjoy the rest of the stream, guys. Okay, here's what we're going to do. We're just going to go to PaximusEnterprises.com. I'm not going to do a formal intro into the website reviews because we're just going to do one today, but I wanted to bring this back. A lot of you saw this website. If you're seeing this website for the first time, you'll just know that it was a little bit different. And already in my first viewing of this Paximus, there are still some things that we could work on, but I think people are going to be very impressed. So what we're going to do is I'm going to refresh this page so that we get the full experience, and we're going to go in here now. So hopefully you can all see this. Now, the first thing that came to mind is, number one, there was this welcome mat. The welcome mat is a part of a website that sort of like shows first before people get to the regular homepage, right? And it's sort of just like a welcome mat, like a way to welcome people in. And I always worry about welcome mats because are they helping and providing value, or are they actually distracting and taking away? And that's the first question. So this is really cool because you have a lot of motion going on. People get to know you. I would imagine there's audio here as well, which I would test. I would test whether or not having audio autoplay would make sense, and especially if you consider when people go back to work, it's like people hated that because it would just, you know, blast and everybody would hear it, and it's just unexpected. Oftentimes when it comes to video and audio, you want to have people essentially vote to say, yes, I want that thing. So having video and audio play automatically, especially audio, is something I'd worry about. And can you, without the audio, because some people might be muted, and can you still share the same value and share the same messages without audio and just text only? So again, okay, so better than what I saw before, but again, I worry about audio only, like right here, because I can't hear the audio. I worry about, you know, what it might be like to, see the audio is even cut out. So you're already doing a disservice to people by making them click the audio on in order to sort of get that back, right? So anyway, I'm going to go to the site now. So there's a lot of movement here. It looks really cool. And by the way, because you're helping people with creative services, I think that speaks highly. Like, hey, check out the kinds of things that we can do for you that you probably haven't seen anywhere else. So Paximus Enterprises, here for your creative solutions. Start your day in a creative way. Okay, so I'm still not quite convinced that I can, without scrolling whatsoever, know that this site is for me. Using the word helping you get creative can mean a lot of things, right? From DIY projects to online-based solutions. I think we have to be even more specific. Here for your creative solutions, or let me help you make your online media the most eye-catching thing people will ever see. You know, something along those lines would be much better versus start your day in a creative way. So does that mean like it's a daily show, or I'm not quite understanding that. And the background is still, I don't know if it could go a little bit slower. It's quite dizzying, to be honest. And I would just worry a little bit about sort of how people receive that. But now down here, okay, creative services. You're being a little bit more upfront about the things that you do, which I really love. Still, having such, like, check out this page right here. By the way, thank you so much for the super chat. That means a lot. So creative services, okay, look at all this real estate that's not being used. Creative services can be smaller, and you can share more about, okay, well, what does this mean? What kinds of creative services are you offering? I'm not gonna click on services because this is so general, and you can't assume that a person's gonna be curious enough to click this. You're gonna want them to be hungry to click it. I'm not hungry here to click it yet. So again, who is it that you're serving? And most of all, what is creative services? What is in living color? What is moment captures, bookings? Why should I book you? Like what bookings exactly? I like that you have this sort of capture moment at the bottom, which I didn't see last time, which might be new. But let's go to creative services and see if you explain this a little bit better. Again, this website, super impressive. Like this is stuff that I would imagine would be really amazing for like a DJ or an online personality who's sort of in the tech space, for example. Paximus Enterprises offers the following services. Hire Pax as producer, recording, mixing, mastering, AVI. So again, you're making me click before I know more about this stuff. So producer, having worked with many people in a myriad of projects, I can help you produce storytelling, consulting. Okay, so now we're getting a little bit more specific. I even think that that kind of stuff can be shown without me having to click. Let me help you tell better stories, help you create better visuals on your website so that you can do what? What's the ultimate outcome here? Get more clients, get more bookings, get more, people showing up to my concerts. What's the outcome here? And then finally, let's see this video.
Hello, MCS.
Okay, so this was a sample video. That I wasn't sure about up front. I think that the thumbnail, if you can make it this, should be click here to see a sample of the kinds of things I can do. So it's almost like a real deck. I wasn't quite sure why I was seeing kids there, but I get it now. You were filming for them, which makes sense. Let's see, you have a podcast too. On air with Paximus. Cool. I would love to see if I could just listen to episodes right here on the page, if possible. And I'm a little bit confused about where to go. But again, way better than what we saw last time, which was more of a just like, hey, look how cool this website is. Now we're starting to get a little bit more into, well, what can this do for other people? And that's so much better than before. But I still think we can take this a little bit further. Use a lot of the giant spaces on your website to actually be clear. So clear that a person doesn't have to think. If they have to go, well, what creative services is that? Well, they're not going to click to learn more about that. You need to be upfront exactly about what that is. Maybe it's just in a paragraph. And again, I a little bit worry about the white on light background. It's hard to see and hard to read, and it can get a little dizzying for some people too. So very grateful that you were there and that you took action already. So let's keep it going. Mech No Cop says, hey, what is this stream about? Can you tell me, please? We help people with their businesses. We do this in many different kinds of ways, whether you're just starting out and you're looking at creating something, out of this time, which is what I did in 2008. I built a business coming out of the recession and have been helping people ever since. And if you already have a business, we're gonna help you scale it. We're gonna help you grow it. We're gonna answer questions. We have a lot of fun here too. And you're able to connect with the other community members here who are all creators, creating on different platforms, podcasts, YouTube, blogs, whatever you're doing, we're here to help. And so feel free to ask questions, here to serve you. This is so helpful. You're welcome. Good. See, so we just helped Paximus with his website design. He came in earlier in the week and had a website that was struggling a little bit. He's improved it. Still some improvements to do, but hey, it's all a process, right? Good morning, Pat says, purposefully inspired. Another great day of helping the community thrive. Gratitude for you and Team Flynn. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I'm curious, for those of you who are regulars here, what kinds of things might we be able to do to keep people engaged who come in midstream? Because a lot of times YouTube likes to promote what's kind of going live, and a lot of people don't understand what this is about right away, just like the person who came in earlier. And I think that's very, very great feedback. So I'm curious to know if you have any ideas for how we might be able to continually keep people understanding. And if you wouldn't mind, if every once in a while we just kind of welcome the new people in and reminded them about what we're about and all that kind of stuff. Sometimes I just get so deep into the questions, I just keep going, and I can imagine people coming in mid-question or midstream and not really understanding what's going on. So Quaranteam, if you are here and you understand this, let me know, whether it's in a DM later or even here in the chat, what we can do to improve this. I'm always trying to make it better. My goal is to, by summer, to have some live streams with over 1,000 people watching simultaneously. We've gotten up to 300 so far watching simultaneously. And of course, people go watch the replay later. We've had, tens of thousands of views of the stream after the fact, but I'd love to have that many people on live. I think that would provide for a really amazing community and room and some fun situations. And I'm always working on improving on my side, and you can definitely help me with that. Question from Kishveer says, Pat, do you think people will buy as usual in this situation? Some people will. Things are changing, right? Obviously. However, people are still buying. We are in the middle of launching some things, and we are very thankful that people are still in buying mode, especially when it comes to helping people during this time in some way, shape, or form. So that's very important. Not taking advantage of them in this situation. Please don't do that. But taking advantage of the time and opportunities people have to be able to sell something that can potentially help them during these times is working, and it's actually working really well. There are a lot of businesses, especially membership websites, for example, that are just increasing in value for people right now because people are craving community and connection, and those kinds of services and offerings are exploding right now. There are, of course, other industries, especially in the travel space, for example, that are getting hit pretty hard right now. So in that case, people aren't buying plane tickets, people aren't buying travel gear at the moment, but they are buying other things like puzzles and other things that are sort of for the times right now. But people are still buying. It's not a freeze, that's for sure. So I would say consider what opportunities does this create for you to create something or to offer something maybe as an affiliate that can help people during this time for sure. Ooh, a lower third bumper would be really cool. Pat is getting more subs and more haters. Hey, a thumbs down is not a hater. I completely welcome people's opinion. That's not hating. Opinion is not hating. Being disrespectful and being a troll is, and we're very excited to not have that go on very often here, which is really cool. Victoria says, hi, Pat, I have multiple blogs and a personal brand. Do you suggest having multiple social media accounts for each brand? I think each brand, if they don't connect to each other, can benefit from having their own social media accounts, but likely aren't going to get enough or as much traction as your own personal account would, because people want to follow the person on the other end. And I found, and I've seen this case by case, time and time again, the accounts created that are just branded by the business name don't get as much love or followers or conversation as those who are a personal brand where there's a person showing up. Now, you can have both, obviously. You can have a business brand that is very personable, but multiple of those is going to be hard to manage in a way where you can get personal whilst also having your personal stuff. I would consider how you might be able to have them all sort of under one umbrella if possible. Again, if they're related, then that would be much easier to do. But if they're not related, then yes, I think it still makes sense to have a branded social media account for that business. But just understand it's probably not going to do a lot of good without somebody there being very interactive, being very proactive about reaching out, connecting with people. Question, hey Pat, do you think people will buy? We just answered that question, I apologize. Albert says, can you put some maybe at the bottom at the screen that would help them tell what this is about so that when they come in, it's that's all what it's about? Yeah, a lower third is an idea so that's like something that pops up sort of right here. I'd have to, for example, change where the comments go. Maybe I can move the comments up here, and I have the super chats and other sort of notifications like this goal thing show up on this side. Yeah, just thank you all for helping me out. I'm gonna be experimenting time and time again for sure to make this the best thing possible for sure. Karma says, Pat, can you tell me about segments in ConvertKit? Is tag categories or segmenting your list? So in ConvertKit, there are tags and segments. Segments you can consider like a folder for your tags. So for example, I have tags, one for each of my online courses, but I have a segment called students of my online courses. So that when I send an email to every single student of my course, I don't have to like insert all those tags into the email that I'm going to send. I can just go, oh, I'm going to click this segment of all my course students because I have an announcement for them, if that makes sense. So segments are like folders for your tags, or that's how most people sort of organize them. Suggestion, Pat, you could put out a topic for questions that it sparks our imagination and questions can bring to flow quickly, and even a new person will ask. Yeah, that's a good thought, like having themes. We've talked about that before. I worry, though, because I like the sort of open-endedness. I think that perhaps I'm going to be experimenting in the future with some themes. That way it'll allow me to create some topic titles. And I think that's the thing that I've been struggling with are, the titles of each of these streams is just like day 44, day 45, Q&A with Pat. And I think that we can get a little bit more specific and maybe hone in our strategies. If you don't mind, may I ask the group here today, can we experiment next week with having theme days based on the title? And in the description, as I set these things up, I can elaborate a little bit more on the kinds of questions I'm looking for, on the types of things that we're going to talk about, and those sorts of things. If you wouldn't mind me experimenting with that next week, why don't we try that? And that way a person coming in can go, oh, well, I don't know what the stream's about, but I see what the topic is, and we can try that. Let me know if that would be cool. Question from Diana, ConvertKit. Can you use an affiliate link if you have a free account? Where might you use that affiliate link? And are you talking about affiliate links for other products that you would put into an email? If that's the case, then yeah, you just need to make sure that you're following all the rules, that you are following the terms and conditions. For example, with Amazon, if you get an Amazon link, you are not allowed to, based on Amazon's terms and conditions, you're not allowed to put a link for an affiliate link in an email. That's against their terms of service. You can't put a link to an affiliate product directly in an ebook either. It has to be public facing on a website or social media account or something like that. And the reason for that is because likely they want to make sure they can track all the clicks, everything that happens, and have most control over that, because that's where Amazon thrives, right? So I think it's important to know that you can solve this problem, though. You can have a landing page on your website where then those links exist, and you can have your affiliate disclaimers there. So that way you don't have the links in the email. Plus, it's also a great way to soften the pitch, meaning, hey guys, I have a resource page here with all these different things for you. Go check it out. It's helpful. I've been able to curate all these things for you. And that way you don't even need to put the affiliate disclaimer in the email itself. You drive people to the page, and even if it's in an ebook, for example, an ebook that people get, a year from now, a link to that page, a page that I can control and dynamically sort of update over time is super valuable versus an old link for something that might be in a book that, expires at some future, that product goes away. Having control on a page and then using the ebook to drive to that page, or using my email to drive to that page, goes a much better way. And it also becomes, something valuable that you can even put in your book. Like, hey, to keep things up to date, like I always do for you, I have a page here with this link and other links for you. So go ahead to that page now. It's essentially a nice resource page for that book itself, and that's a good solution. What's up, Hey Archer? Thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate that. And Carmen, to verify this, don't put a link in the ebook. So like an affiliate link for Amazon specifically. Other affiliate programs may allow you to do that, but Amazon does not. I got my account taken down because I had one in mine years ago. It took a while to get it back. Yes. Thank you so much for that. Hey, Archer, I appreciate you. And hey, we're at the top of the hour now already, which is insane. So, hey, I appreciate you for coming in today. I'm going to give you one more minute to hit that like button. If you were able to hit that and we're going to get to 200, I'm just going to share with you our like goal today, because I got to drop for a call. I have a mastermind call with my group here in just a moment here. So, hey, 13, just right off the bat now, let me know. Theme suggestion, switch from reviewing websites to reviewing YouTube channels. I like that idea. That's something that came up before. I have some themes specifically for email, how to create hooks, video, live streaming, all those sorts of things. I think that would be a really interesting way to pull people in, and maybe even create a schedule ahead of time that people can look forward to and go, hey, that topic I'm not really interested in, so I'm not going to waste my time today on that. But the one on Tuesday I'm really excited about. We can go for that. So I like that idea. You can have an introduction to the stream at the top of the description, since when people watch a stream and they don't know what it's about, they check the description first. Yep, like that idea for sure. Great suggestions, y'all. I appreciate you for that. And yeah, I'm gonna experiment. So let's starting Monday next week. And by the way, Monday next week, I'm gonna start an hour earlier because I have a board meeting call that I was actually supposed to travel to Boise, Idaho to meet with ConvertKit, and that starts at 8 a.m. So I'm actually gonna start a little earlier on Monday, 1 hour earlier. So just kidding. Hey, we reached our goal. Well done, everybody. So these special frames that I wanna share with you are right here. Caleb came over yesterday to help me film this workshop, right? And he brought these with him, sanitized. But I don't know if you could see that. These are like those little patents for, so this is me and Caleb's invention, the Switch Pod. And Caleb was generous enough to sort of get these printed out and frame them, which was so cool because it just makes it feel real, right? The fact that like these are the patent drawings for the Switch Pod that are at the United States Patent and Trademark Office that they get. And it's just so interesting how there's like, look at all these pieces. I don't even know if you can see how many pieces the Switch Pod has. It's a pretty complicated piece of kit, even though it's just all metal fashioned in certain shapes. There's no electronics. But as you can see, like number 26 there, like the magnet that goes there, and there's other things. So this is how it was made. And I'm just very, very thankful for Caleb. Thank you for being a great partner on the Switch Pod, and our product is doing extremely well. I told the story in yesterday's stream if you want to start that and watch it. Speaking of watching, and thank you for letting me share that with you in reaching our goal today. So hey, really quick, I'm going to share my computer. And I'm going to show you the video that's coming out literally right now. I'm going to hit play on it right now. You can go watch it. Thumbs it up. That would be really helpful. This is I live streamed for 30 days in a row. Here's what happened. Views, income, and more. So I'm going to scroll down here. I'm going to go to visibility, public, done, save. And that video is now public. So you can see the results of what has happened since going live for 30 days straight. That video is now public. You can go and watch that if you'd like. And if you just wanted to leave a comment, be up there, get some love, get maybe some subscribers to your YouTube channel, being one of the first comments, you can pop that up there. I see a lot of people's channels grow as a result of being involved in the comment section, which is really cool. So thank you so much for coming in today. I appreciate you. I'll see you tomorrow, 8 a.m. Pacific, 9 a.m. Mountain, 10 a.m. Central, 11 a.m. Eastern. And there we go. Take care. Thanks so much. I hope you watched that video. And as always, Team Flynn for the win. Peace out.
This is the income stream to help you achieve your dream, all while we keep it clean. This is the income stream. It's the kind of show where you can come and go, but then you leave inspired with no fee required. The income stream with Pat Flynn.
Thanks everybody. Stay safe. Stay inside. Let's stay together every morning. I'm here for you. Thanks for being part of the crew. Thanks for